All right, this video is by Das Food, talking about grabbing as a concept in DBD, like the actual mechanic of grabbing. The link just appeared in the chat over there, and also it'll be down in the description below if you're on the YouTube side of things. We're talking about grabbing. Probably, I'm assuming this is going to talk about like grabbing as a power, or as a mechanic, probably because it's very inconsistent, it's very hard to get grabs in this game just because of like latency and stuff like that. And also, grabbing while full health has kind of always been a thing that people kind of look at sideways. It's like, why do you get to just grab people at full health? Kind of like something a lot of people aren't usually a fan of and have talked about for a long time in the game. So I'm assuming that's probably where this is going. Yeah, let's see what the homie has to say about it.
Hey foodies, I'm Dust Food, and today I want to talk about the concept of grabbing in Dead by Daylight. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are certain actions during the course of a DBD game wherein the killer might grab a survivor and lift them up with their shoulder as if they had downed them and picked them up. This is a rather natural part of the game, and just to be clear right out of the gate, I'm not against the concept of grabbing in general. There's just one specific type of grab that I really don't like, and I kind of want to talk about it. I mean, it's almost just more of a rant at this point. But, you know, keeping with the whole good faith nature of the channel, it's a rant that I hope the devs might actually see and say, hey, you know what? That's actually a pretty good point. Now, I had been feeling this way for a while, and then I saw a tweet from the godfather of everything Dead by Daylight, ATTRIBUTION, or maybe not ATTRIBUTION, I'm not sure which one's which, and he was talking about how he doesn't like these same types of grabs. So I was like, okay, hold up, there might be something to this. This might not be something that I'm just going to have to just kind of complain about on my own. This might be something that other people feel. So what am I talking about? Well, one thing I'm not talking about, because misdirection and whatnot, is I'm not talking about getting a grab on injured survivors as they go through windows. I'm not talking about getting a grab on injured survivors over a pallet. So basically both of those being vaults.
because if you couldn't grab people while they're injured, going over a window, going over a pallet, and they had like endurance from like off the record or something like that, it's just a free getaway at that point, because they just get to, you know, pop their endurance as they go over the thing. But obviously if they greed something really stupidly in your face, which is what results, and a lot of those grabs, you just yoink them, right? No endurance on grabs. So like that should definitely stay. That should definitely stay. You cut your hair? Yeah, like 4 months ago. I just usually have my hair down so people don't notice.
And I'm not talking about getting a grab on a healthy survivor on the gen. So if you're playing Ghostface or something and you walk up and you're able to get the drop on a survivor, I think you should be rewarded with what is essentially an insta-down. It's just a good mechanic, especially for stealth killers, to make them a little more viable. All for that. I think that's great. What I don't like, and what I think you see pretty, I would say disturbingly commonly, which is that's overly verbose way of saying it happens too much, is killers who face camp. And when people try to come make the save,
so many of my survivor games like get like just totally torpedoed because somebody gets grabbed off a hook. When the bar was 99, like the bar would be 99.99%, and theoretically it should have been like, oh, just an easy yoink off the hook. Suddenly they get grabbed, and suddenly we're in a double down situation. They drop the survivor, and now the killer can just camp the person on hook that they were already camping, and now they can camp the slug on the ground right next to them. Like, it's just like, it's just free. It's really strong, and it'll snowball a match really easy for basically no fault of your own, besides just trying to like contest a face camp, which is just like, yeah, it's something.
They get grabbed instead, so all of a sudden this face camp becomes a situation where they're able to down 2 people.
Yep.
And most of the time, if it's in basement, they'll be able to get both of them hooked before anyone can do anything. And if it's not in basement, they'll just slug you at the foot of whoever it is that you were trying to save. So this happened to me kind of recently on one of my streams at Twitch TV, @das_food, by the way, if you're feeling it. And just to be clear,
hey, if you're not doing that, you should at least subscribe to this YouTube and like this YouTube video, because, hey, this is content provided to us. So, yeah, support the official release.
Making this video because a week later I'm seething about this. I mean, you can go back and watch the VOD. I was fine with it when it happened. I was fine with it afterwards. It's not like I'm making this out of anger. It's just kind of convenient that it happened when it did, because it really shows the point I'm trying to make. So we had this Legion who was dressed up as Hunk from Resident Evil, and he was AFK the entire game, and I was calling it the entire time. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a no-ed and face camp situation. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Now, you can say that we should have broken all the totems, yada yada. I don't disagree with you. You're absolutely right. But
that's what Noodle said.
That's the point. And then he got a down on somebody, he hooked them, he face camped them. And when I went to make the save, I waited until Noed was broken, but I still got grabbed because I am a trash player who's a garbage boy who's very bad at everything. And therefore, I ended up slugged beside him. And what had started out as a one hook became a 3K. Just like that, all because of a mechanic that I think encourages face camping.
I mean, it does. Now, regardless of whether you're for this or against this, it does encourage face camping. It is something that makes face camping really strong. It just does. That's why you need multiple people for a save, because you need somebody to bait the hit and the other person to actually get the unhook. Because if you don't have two people there that are healthy, like face camps just work. If you don't have two people healthy, face camps are just uncontestable. And that's like kind of like, that's depending how you feel about it, that's a pretty bleak situation if you need two healthy people and you can still mess it up. Because if you get the timing wrong or somebody miscoordinates, that still doesn't work. But a face camping can be uncontested if you can't be in a situation where you can keep at least two people healed up. Yeah. And uncontestable situations, and basically any game, just kind of generally doesn't feel good. Like, you just win? There's just no counterplay to that? Like, it's just... Typically, those kind of mechanics in games that are just uncontestable, there's just nothing you can do, just don't feel good. So, yeah.
Don't mind face camping. You probably disagree with me, and that's totally cool. Look, you can watch... you can actually watch on the B-roll here from the stream. One of my own viewers...
Like that! Like, it's literally 99! Like, that's literally 99. Like, why did you get grabbed off of that? Like, yeah, that's literally 99.999%. The bar is done. You get grabbed off of that? Like, at that point, that just comes down to latency. And now you're being screwed over by lag and just the latency of the server. That's not even like... You didn't really make an error there. Like, you had that. Like, it's just...
Disagreeing with me, saying, oh, I like grabs. I like the grabs. I like these healthy grabs. And that's totally cool. You're allowed to disagree. But to me, at a time where so many people seem to say that, hey, what do we hate from killers? We hate base camping and we hate tunneling. Okay, well, here's a mechanic that makes it really easy to face camp, that makes it really rewarding to face camp. How much different would it have been if when the Legion hit me, I lost 1 health state instead? Because in that situation, I don't remember if the...
Yeah, because in that situation, you could trade, right? And the Legion would essentially be in the same situation that they were in, but they have an extra hook state, so they applied a little bit more pressure to the match instead of just like outright winning just because they stood in place and did nothing. Because like realistically, if we want to talk about like skill, skill-based matchmaking, you have everything, skillful plays win the match. Standing still and just standing there is not skillful. Like this Legion was complete. Like everything they were doing was completely brainless. They just hooked one person, had a perk, and just went. And that's it. They're just standing there, just like head empty, like, but so heavily rewarded for head empty, right? Just nothing at all. Just like no effort on their part. Like it's just, do you really, really want to reward that? Look at that skill. Let's get a close up. Okay. You want to look at my skill. Look at that's skillful. There's some neat skills right there. Yeah. Skills. Woo.
Up, but it was at Shack, so maybe I can make a play around God Palette, maybe I can use my Lithe to get some distance. Even if I just run in circles like a complete dingus and go down within the next 10 seconds, at least the Legion had to work for it a little more, and at least the other person gets away to possibly go heal, and we can get a better attempt at an escape. But that would be my ideal world. I'm of the opinion that if a survivor is healthy, no, you should not be able to grab them during a...
And here's the deal. If you're face camping at this juncture of the match, like, you've already lost, right? Like, I know this Legion brought a very specific build to do what they're doing, but like, honestly, in an endgame situation, if like 3 survivors are alive and you're face camping somebody, like, you've lost the match. So I don't know about like, okay, well now I have this grab thing with it. You know, it's like, well, you already lost. You already played like crap for the for the whole duration of 5 gens. Now that's not always true, right? Not intrinsically true. I always feel like that I have to put that little asterisk there because somebody always writes me a 4-page essay in the YouTube comments when I'm like, well, it's like this, and everybody's like, actually, when I was 4 years ago when I was playing Dead by Daylight, this Survivor Gen Rush squad Gen Rushed me out, so it's not always like I understand that. Like I've played the game for 4K hours, I get that. You're not telling me anything I don't know, okay? Like I get it, all right? If you've already lost the game, and most likely that's because of probably something you did. Of course, there's asterisks like, you know, did you get Badham as killer? Badham's pretty rough. Or, you know, were they all running Gen Rush? Yeah, that's pretty rough. You know, stuff like that. But, like, for the most part, a lot of times you end up in a situation like this, it's because you played badly. Or something went wrong that you didn't capitalize on, and you lost. So I feel like, if I just stand here, I'm going to get rewarded. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like the less we have I win for free mechanics, because that's like what... To relate it to tie this together, like if you we brought up the Gen Rush conversation, that's why Gen Rush is frustrating. Why does this person, because they just happen to have an item called a BNP, get to just like complete part of a gen just cause they feel like it? Why if you prove thyself in the match just because you and two people happen to approach the same gen, does it just happen to go faster? That just doesn't feel good because there's nothing skillful happening. You're just going, now it's done faster. That's why it feels bad. But like, this is kind of like the same mentality, right? Of like, why do you just get to grab people off hook when literally all you're doing is standing there? You have put 0 input into the situation, but you're getting so much value. It's just like, stuff like that feels bad, you know? So have some empathy, because like, if you hate Gen Rush, that's how Survivor feel about getting grabbed fully healthy off a hook, because like, that also requires 0 effort and has a lot of value, you know? I have to win game, even if I'm bad. Yeah. I have to win a game, even if I'm bad. I always find it's the same people that complain about, like, you know, I should be able to win even though everything went wrong, that are always like, you know, this should be balanced. It should be changed. This should be like this. It's like, yeah. Yeah, it's a party game. You know, it's such a party game. Like, give me all this unfair stuff. But also, we should balance everything. Like, these can't coexist. Can't coexist. But like we said in different videos, that mostly boils down to people not actually being about balancing the game. They just want the game to be in their favor. So it kind of does make sense. Not in a sense that I agree with it, but it's like, it's people trying to biasly kind of like curve everything towards their favor. That's why you see that kind of mentality. It's like, hey, I want the unfair stuff that benefits me, and kind of disguise it as like a balanced discussion, you know? Because like to me, this makes sense, right? Like what we just talked about is like, you know, stuff like prove thyself BNPs, it gives you a lot of value for basically no input. That feels kind of bad, but this is like the same thing. Like if I have that philosophy with those items and perks, that philosophy applies here too. It's like, but like people don't have philosophies. People just want to win, you know. People don't have philosophies. They just want to win, right?
An unhook attempt, just because I think it encourages one of the worst behaviors in the game.
Behavior.
Now, is this world ending like, oh, well, Dead by Daylight will die if they don't change this? No, of course not. And I'm never going to present it that way. It's just one change that I think they could make to make the game a little healthier. It's something that I hope maybe we see with the anniversary chapter, maybe with the mid-chapter update. I hope it comes in a future update. But that's just, again, this is just a little short one. This is just something I've been thinking about, and I'm curious to see I'm curious to see where everybody else falls on this. I don't know if this is going to be the majority opinion or not, so I'm very interested to see what you have to say, but either way, please do let me know down in the comments below. Again, a little short one here, guys. I know, it's not my longest video, but I thought it was a kind of interesting topic, so let me know down below. Do you think it's a problem? What would you do to fix it? I mean, am I overlooking something? But as always, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you.
What always cracks me up about this is like, what I always see is like, this only really affects people that typically aren't very like, okay, this always gets me in trouble when I say these in these videos. There's always somebody that's like, I work a 10-hour job, I'm not going to be the best player in the game. And like, okay, like, this really only affects you if you're kind of bad at the game, really, right? If they take out full health grabs tomorrow, you know, aside from stuff killers as we talked about, I almost never face camp. I almost never face camp. and I have a very high win rate. I almost never face camp. Almost never. It'll happen like once, like every 2 weeks. I don't do it. Because I play the game in the middle, at the beginning and in the middle, and even if like in most situations that I actually have to face camp, it's because I got a really good team, and they got all the gens done, and I'm trying to secure at least 1 kill. That's the only situation where that happens. I'm not like face camping people in the middle of the game. Like, if you're face camping people in the middle of the game, to me that it's like you're not good at the chase part. You're not good at the map awareness to find survivors. You're not good at the chase aspect to down survivors quickly. Like, that's what that tells me. Like, to me, this sounds like a change that affects people who are primarily bad at the video game, you know? And if you really, really, really want to just face camp people and be able to still insta-down them, just play Bubba. Until they decide to take that out, because honestly, that's kind of silly too, but like, still play Bubba and get that. Like, it's just, like, I win most of my matches, and I'm almost never put in this situation where I have to, like, face camp. So, like, I don't know. This wouldn't affect me at all. If this goes through, this basically doesn't affect me at all. So, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even that good, to be honest. I'm just okay enough that I've played the game enough that I can give moderate advice about the game. Like, I'm not as good as Otts. I'm not as good as, like, Scott or anybody like that. I'm not that good of a killer. And I still have the results that I do, you know? Like, if you're really out here face camping this much and this is really gonna shake your bedrock, like, I think there's more wrong with the way you play killer than just, like, the grab situation. Not everybody's going to be amazing at the game and win all their matches, but not doing anything to get better at things like chase and face gaming isn't going to make you better. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, I had a thought there and it just, like, immediately escaped my brain. God. Not now, please. It's encouraging to do that because you get a game reward for doing nothing. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a game reward for doing literally nothing. Literally nothing. Like, just literally standing there. Oh, yeah. So, like, I lose, like once or twice a play session. Like, I'll play for, like, 4 or 5 hours of DBD, playing killer. And I'll lose once or twice, which is very good, right? So, like, just take that. So, like, I lost twice Monday. So just this 1 day sample. We'll do this again. So, roughly 4 matches in DBD, because I don't play, like, plug it out builds or anything particularly long. So 5 hours times 4 is 20. So, yeah, I only lose 2 of those. Yeah, I only lose 2 matches out of 20 games. So that's a 90% win rate for just Monday. That's a 90% win rate for just Monday alone. I have a 90% win rate just on Monday, for Monday, that day. And I think what it comes down to a lot when we have these weird conversations of, like, why not just remove this? Because, like, to me, I don't care. Because, like, I win 90% of my matches. But I think a lot of people are in a position where, like, they want that other 10%, right? They want to have their win rate be, like, 98 or something, like, kind of absurd like that. And that's... The game should not be that way. There should be no situation where one side is winning that much. That much. Like, that's going back to talking about the stuff we were talking about with, like, this old Survivor bully squads and stuff. Because that's how it was back in the day. Survivors won, like, 95% of their games, right? Because they had so much broken stuff, and it was crazy, right? Like, you remember, if you played during those days, you want that? You want that kind of unhealthiness back in the game? You don't need to win that extra 10% of the games. I say I have a 90% win rate. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm pretty cool with that. But other people be like, oh, nah, you're like, I gotta win the rest of those games. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't need to win the rest of those. Even if your win rate's like 80. Like, you're winning 80% of your matches? You're winning 80% of your matches. Like, that's crazy. That's very good. That's very good. Very good. Yeah, and exactly. You don't need to play the game 13 hours a day to get better. Like, you really don't have to. And that's, I hate that that's, like, That's a mentality. You know what? This is becoming a bigger rant, but I guess that's what the video, like the React videos are about. It's like, that's why I made the match reviews, because what people do is they think that if they just keep slamming their head against the wall, they're going to get better through playtime solely. And that's not how that works. You need to improve on bad habits. 1 hour a day, specifically tackling your bad habits versus just somebody playing like 8-hour-a-day full play sessions and just blaming everything on the game. The person who practices 1 hour a day on actually fixing their issues and fixing their flaws will be always be way better than the person who just blamed it on the game but plays longer than the other guy. So like, that's why I do the match review thing, because I want to point those things out to you that you may not be realizing yourself. They're like, hey, here's what you're doing well, but here's where you can improve. That way you can, you know, essentially shrink your weaknesses and become better at the game overall. So like, I just don't get this argument. And this, like, the last time I brought this up, it was one of my recently most disliked videos where I brought this up. It's like, like, hey, it doesn't really matter if you don't really have time to play. If you spend that time poorly, you're not going to get better. If the person that has 8 more hours than you, if they're not spending that time fruitfully, it's not going to matter. And that's what I get with a lot of this, like, I need to win mentality. You know, we talked about 4K or not okay in one of Lily Pie's videos, 4K or not okay. It's just like, you don't need total, like if you play other games, like you play unranked, ranked, whatever in like other games, like your win rate is like, your win rate's never like 90%. Like not a thing, right? Like it gets to the point where if you see somebody with like a 94% win rate in like a more structured competitive environment game, you're like, are they cheating? Like your brain goes like, are they cheating? Are they hacking? Like how are they winning that consistently? Like that is a very unique thing to this game. And other games that have that kind of like looser structure, right? That has competitive to it, right? You're already winning more than you probably should. Just because of the asymmetry of the game, just because of like perk builds, that sort of thing. You're already winning more than you probably should be. I don't get this need to like this game's not going to be a healthy place if we put in a position where you can actually have that 100% win rate. And I feel like even if you only have like an 80% win rate, like if you're not happy with that, like brother, what are you talking about? Like you're looking at like a 70-80% win rate and you're not happy with that? Like how ungrateful. I know that's, you know, that's a no duh. It's the DPD community, but like, of course we're entitled. But like, how can you look at like a 70-80% win rate and you're like, that's dumb. I want to win more. Like that's really high. That's really high. It's really high. You are above the average kill rate of the entire game. The average kill rate of the game was like 60-something%, right? When they first released those stats after 6.1. The average kill rate of the game was like 60-something%. You are already higher than the average kill rate of the game. But you want more? Like, it just seems so greedy to me. Like, be happy with your 70-80% win rate. like, relax. Relax. And if you're only winning 60% of your games, guess what? You're average. You're doing about as good as everybody else is, you know? Right? You're about where you should be, according to the game. In COD, you have above a 1.0 win rate, so they will see that will want that. But that's not how that works, right? Because, you know, in COD, you could be a 5-man on comms, and if everybody carries, you can get there. Obviously, you know, it's usually how that happens is by, you know, a coordinated 5-man that's always trying their balls off, right? You know, trying their heart out. But even then, I look at people that have like 2.0 win rates. I'm like, are they hacking? Or 1.5? I'll be like, are they hacking? Right? Like, I start looking at that kind of sus, right? Yeah, exactly. If a deck, like even a TCG, or CCG, sorry, wrong word. Like, if it has a 65% win rate, like, that's high. That's really high. And I don't think DBD players understand that. They just want complete domination no matter what side they're on. It's just like not realistically how games work. It's realistically not how games work. Games just don't work that way. You don't get to win more than 90% of the time in basically any other game. And you want more? You want more than 90% win rate. You want to have their cake and eat it to you? Literally. Really. I don't know. It's just, I think that's what a lot of this comes from, because like they want to be able to like completely dominate and then like have grabs, right, on top of it. Full health grabs on top of it, right? Or like, hey, if I had full health grabs, I could raise my win rate from 70% to like 80%. You know, it's like, You don't need all that. Don't need all that. You need to be happier with like just like having a like that's why I'm still happy with the game. Like honestly, straight up, that's one of the reasons I'm still happy with the game. It's because like I don't look at my 98% win rate and go, oh, this game's so cheesy and stupid. Like I do get mad in the moment. In the moment, I get very pissed. You guys know that. In the moment, I get very irritated when I face like three BNPs and like 3 proofs. Like I get very mad, right? But like, but then I let go of it because I'm like, that was like the one match today I lost. I lost once all day. And there was like one match near the end. Well, there was the warm-up match at the beginning of that day where I was just playing Wesker and I got Borgo and I was just trying to go for silly shots that like I realistically should not be going for. But yeah, like that was like the second match I lost all day, and that was like the last match I lost that day. Like why hold on to that? But like I feel like other killers in that position are like, they shouldn't have those things. That was really stupid. I'm gonna freak out. Like, it's like it just seems so ungrateful. Seems so dismissive and ungrateful. Yeah, I think there is that expectation there, Toto, that people just expect to win every game. It's like somebody asked me this the other day. Reaper's was on a 121 or 122 win streak with Pinhead. And somebody asked me, is like, how is Reaper on a 121 or 122 win streak with Pinhead? Like, how is he doing that? And I'm like, okay, so he runs for slowdown and he plays extremely mean. That's what it comes down to. Like, it's literally like, that's what you do. You run in a very, very stacked build and you play extremely mean. You camp, you tunnel, you proxy, you play as mean as possible. Like, and you want more than that? This is why it's ridiculous to me. Like, the average DVD player is like, I want more. I want more. I want more than that. You want more than to be able to stack 4 slowdown and play like incredibly like cruel to the survivors and like you want that? You want that to be even easier and more accessible? It's already there. You can already do it. You can already do it. Homie's literally is like approaching 150 wins. It's already possible in the game. Like, you want it to be even easier. It's just like there's such a weird disconnect. Such a weird disconnect. Such a weird disconnect. Shouldn't be able to win 10 games. Well, yeah, because they data mined and they found that they actually send you to your worst maps when you win a lot, when you play the game. And I was realizing that on Monday because I got Batum like 4 times in a row, like before I lost, right? Like they were like sending me to Batum over and over, and I was still winning. Like I was like even without my map repeat, I kept going to Batum. And I was like, that's interesting. It was like Batum, Garden, Batum, Batum, Garden. And I was like, this is weird. Why do I keep going to these maps? But I kept winning. Which, realistically, those things should have stopped me. Those very, very strong maps should have stopped me, but they didn't. This argument started because if grabs disappeared, like full health grabs disappeared tomorrow, it wouldn't really affect me. But a lot of people would probably freak out about it. And the logic behind that was that I feel like just DVD players just want everything. They just want everything, and they're greedy gamers. So yeah, I feel like not for any good reason, but I feel like a lot of people would take issue with it. Like I said, with me, I would wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, those are gone. And it really wouldn't affect my gameplay basically at all. There'd be like 1 or 2 instances, maybe a month, where I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's not in the game anymore. So like, I don't know.